looks like our chosen power is solar pinhole. Essentially, we can make light. Not really great, is it? I mean, it might be useful if we're fighting at night, but I don't see that one being of much use, to be honest. Well, this was unexpected. They already want to marry. They've barely been together a few days, and they're already getting ready to, well, pair up. Well, I'll have to tidy up this place just in time for the wedding then. And that is quite good timing, as in real life I'll be attending a wedding as well, so if I'm away for a few days, I do apologise if I don't reply right away. Granted, I've already got all the videos uploaded, so don't worry, that'll still be there. With 2 days before the zombies arrive, Williams gets a shooting frenzy. That is going to be very helpful in defending his new home. As you can see, we've grown it quite large. I'm not really aiming for a superstructure, but it's slowly turning into that, at least to begin with. I'm starting to light the way with Milia flowers, which is very nice and helps with the colony beauty. Our throne room, dining room, recreation room combination is looking absolutely spectacular with the spacer wood floors. 0.2 cleanliness and 1 beauty. They add up quite nicely with some very beautiful decorative sandstone tiles as well. I've looted a few tables from nearby. I've tried to make it match a little bit, but fingers crossed it will all end up well. I would like to do a few things. I'm looking to put some marble shelves in here. What I'm going to put on them, I'm not entirely certain. It might be worth moving the packaged survival meals out. It's not like they actually go off, and that will free up some space in the refrigerator. Meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out how to use these properly. They do seem to actually gather dirt around them, so having them in the room you want to keep clean is actually a bad idea. And I'm hoping to pave this area a bit more to stop with the cleaning problems. Yes, Mod 6 basically got a bit stuck cleaning up the entire home area, which we ran around and cleaned all this rather than in here. I've messed around with the actual area that's included as home, so that should hopefully not be a problem anymore. Now, let's have a look. I think I've pretty much shot every badger, every rat, and every minor inconvenience in the local area for the food. So, we are running out of meat. That's fine. I don't mind being mostly vegetarian for this colony. Well, I say mostly. They might be upset. They really do enjoy their large array of various foods. But yes, everyone's happy, everyone's alive, and it's still early days, so we'll have to see how things go. After several days, we now resume 10 hours until the zombies come. The geothermal generator has been researched and is in the process of being built. Meanwhile, Williams is now researching tree sowing to somewhat replace the mass area of forest that we cut down, and a little reforestation can always be good, especially if we can plant some things like apple trees to vary our diet. Speaking of diet, it looks like the rice is already ready to harvest again, meaning that the colony will not be running short on food. However, they are running short on wood after the several statues have been built, and the statues are very varied and entertaining. Whilst of mostly normal quality, they are all created by Weber, who seems to be taking inspiration from her colony members. Magura is essentially quite happy, and there's a nice little statue of her next to the throne. Opposite it is Model 6 touching down in a drop pod with retro rockets. She's very nice. I kind of like this sort of history of the colony building up. The rest of them have been placed in the kitchen and the bedrooms respectively. We need a few more, but again, wood is running low. The various fences, which are really our only defence against the incoming horde, and not a great defence at that, but they will buy us time until we can create better defences. The colony is mostly made of wood, and whilst the floors can't burn, the walls certainly can. This will be fine for the internal areas of the colony, though I am a little worried when we start having more cabling and going between areas that a single zap will cause a large fire that will spread. But no worries, I'm starting to have the colonists work on getting us some granite blocks to replace most of these walls eventually, or maybe marble. It would be nice to have the bedrooms be marble and the more, shall we say, vulnerable areas of the colony be granite. I am not entirely certain what this threat level meter is or where it came from. But it's kind of cool. I have a threat forecast of what might happen. I believe that's to do with Rimworld. And I am worried that whilst our colony is racing ahead, our rival is slowly growing. We really do need to check the world, and this is actually looking at all the various odds and ends of what other people are doing. Rimworld is a very, very interesting mod, and I think it's certainly an excellent way of adding to the game with new win conditions. Now, I realise that we've not actually looked at the map yet. So, we are south of the Tola Mountains. Our capital is here, the Fellowship Thicket, and we are surrounded by a great deal number of hostile people. Now, we have Delin Keep up here, and the citadel here of this Tokola dynasty, which don't like us very much, and they're rather random in their behaviour, so they could attack us at any time. We have somewhat hostile settlements here, and we have the oh, they're the Blue Cove bandits. They are not the revolvers. They have a very similar symbol. The revolvers, I think, are a skull and crossbones. They're our hated enemy. Everyone else is just potentially a foe. But yes, and the Great Khans here, and their capital at that. Now, the Great Khans are from, obviously, a Fallout mod, which adds a few factions from the game. So they are going to probably be our nearest and strongest enemies. We do have potential allies. We've got a neutral town up here of, looks tribal. We have the Iron Ratkin, who are always wonderful to have on our side in Coptoas. And we have two cities of the Empire of the Sun. I'm worried by this little town, because that looks like one of the special races, and I'm not certain which one that is. If it's the dragon people, we are stuffed, because we've seen how hard they are to put down in a swarm. Now, there's a few of these around that doesn't look like, unless we travel far, we're going to have many friends. Yeah, we are mostly surrounded by very hostile warmongering types. Now, the revolvers themselves, I cannot see on the world at the moment. Should we have a look? Well, that's them there. If we wanted to win via Rimworld, we'd have to destroy them, and I don't think we're going to do that. I'd love to send a long-ranging caravan just to strike them down, and that would be pretty amazing. In fact, if we got more Warforged, which I think would be very low chance because they hardly ever spawn unless it's slave traders, we could send out a team of Warforged to go destroy them. I mean, they don't have to eat, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. However, their low comfort could really mess them up, and we might still get some mental breaks. I should mention that mod 6 for my own difficulty factor, I gave a harmonizer just so if he gets upset, everyone around him gets upset. That was just a part of a challenge to make. I should have put one on mod 5 thinking about it, but this was to make it so I had to try and get round the low comfort issue. So yes, the revolvers don't have too many towns, at least none near me anyway. Oh, but it's good to check, and we can also see caravans and the like and scouting parties on the map, which is again a feature I really like, so we can try and actually purposely encounter these people if we so wish. But what our future holds with our neighbours, I don't think it's going to be all that good. Upon returning to the colony, we see that with 2 hours to go, the geothermal generator is now complete. The granite walls surrounding it are going up, and hopefully that will be well defended from any stray shots or fire for the foreseeable future. It still needs to be wired and connected to the rest of the colony to provide a constant and reliable source of power, but for now I think that's a job well done. So I'm going to take a moment to pause, just so I'm not distracted by incoming zombies, and mention one of a mod that's now been introduced to our current game. Taking a moment to pause the music, the first thing I want to describe is the doormat mod. Now, I did end up looking at this in detail, and it seems it works by your colonists automatically carry filth. It's just something they pick up when they walk over dirt. So when they walk across a doormat, they will automatically drop at least one filth if they have any. So if we want this to work, we've got to make sure that we put it outside the rooms we want to keep clean and not put it in the doorway itself. That was a slight mistake on my part, which is a shame because I think it looks quite good in the doorways. But lesson learned, they will be staying here and just around the outside of my colony. Maybe I'll put a few in a few places if I can research something like the bins from one of the other mods that added in. Now, the big one, the very, very big one, is extended vanilla social interactions. And this adds all kind of things to the colony. The first thing it adds is memories. With every event, there's a 10% chance that a colonist will earn a memory, and this will usually affect how they view their fellow colonists. These memories last between 1 year to 25 years, so they can have a long-standing effect. So if someone goes berserk and attacks someone after having a mental break, expect that person to potentially remember that and hate them for a very long time. The second thing it changes is inspirations. Now, it adds a bunch of new inspirations to the game, some of which are quite fun, and I'm not going to list them here because, fingers crossed, they'll turn up and actually happen in our playthrough. But when you succeed and actually get to fulfill your inspiration, you gain a +10 mood modifier, and if you don't, it's only a -2 debuff, so it's not too bad, but it means that people get a little happy and sad, and it adds that little bit of a Dwarf Fortress element to the game, which I kind of like. Our colonists can also learn new traits when key things in their life happen to them. Sadly, the bestowing ceremonies already happened, so we won't get to see it of that. But if you recruit a prisoner, there's a chance they'll gain a trait. If they develop an immunity, if there's a particularly long raid, or if they have a mental break, or if they're revived, or a family member dies, big events can mess with someone's personality. So that could be quite interesting. I know that one some people will not like, but it does mean that there is a reason to take younger members of a colony now, like the ones who are like 17 or under, who would normally not have a background, because you could earn new traits with them potentially. There's also teaching. When people chit-chat, they have a chance, if they're friendly enough with their colleagues, to teach them their skills. This won't always take, and it's a very low chance, but that's just something I like for people who work together very often. You can actually have your crafters all working in one spot and potentially teach each other things as they're crafting. And speaking of crafting, we have many hands make light work. Crafters that are working within a radius of each other on different projects give each other an improved work speed of 0.5. I think it's got to be like in the kitchen, several people cooking. I don't know if that'll work, you know, between different types of crafting, but I'll just have to see. It's not all friendly though, because there's also Discord. Now, this means that if you have pawns who do not like each other and you force them to work together, there is a high chance of a social fight, which turns into a bit of a spiral, doesn't it, because they dislike each other more. And this also ties into reputation. Pawns who are friendly with everyone in the colony above a certain amount can gain a good reputation. And likewise, if there's someone who is at 0 friendship with most of the colony, they can gain a bad reputation, which can sort of cement them in that low friendship with the rest of the colony. I kind of like that. That's a little tweak, but I'll have to see how it actually works in practice. finally, there's two new types of interactions where it comes to parties and group activities. The first one is the additional group activities such as grabbing a beer, having a binge party, outdoor picnics, funerals, birthday parties. But the second one is now dating, which can happen. And I've already got a mod that introduces dating to the game, but this one seems to be a more solid, reliable version of it occurring. And your little colonists can go off and go watch the stars together, have meals together, go on walks together. It's quite a sweet. But there's also one night stands, which means if a colonist has a double bed and is not in a relationship, they can flirt and potentially have a one night stand with another pawn for a slight mood boost and some loving. I hope to see that one more because I think that's quite interesting, and that can have so many little personalities and stories to this, and we might even get some social fights just from jealousy. But that is all of that, and now I'm gonna resume time and we'll see what happens when the zombies turn up.